Okay, I've decided to have a class, or somebody else asked for a class, online class on risk analysis in financial modeling. I said, okay, well, let's do some scenario analysis, maybe get up to Monte Carlo, let's make some nice presentations of risk. And honestly, I swear to God, they said, oh, no, no, scenario analysis is not part of a financial model, and sensitivity analysis not. Now, Hetty told me when she was explaining modeling, she said, well, the whole idea of a model is to do some sensitivity analysis at the end. Maybe you want to do some structuring as well. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain this. Now, my presentation skills really suck. Okay, and I'm not an artist, but I'm working on a biogas project. Don't worry, I'm not getting paid, and this is nothing confidential. And this is in Indonesia. And my friend said, you know what they have is they have these palm oil mills. Now, the first thing I said to him, and what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to put spinner boxes, scenario analysis. We're going to try to make a presentation that's understandable for these people who own the mill and the investors who might want to invest in this equipment, that equipment, and this equipment, and some help for the trucks. We're going to make a presentation for investors and the people who would use the biogas and try to make an effective presentation. The first thing I asked was for a picture. Now we're going to put little spinner boxes all over here. We're also going to put a drop down box with different scenarios. But let me explain this. So these people produce palm oil, and then it can get stuck in this lagoon and it just rots in the air and makes methane, horrible for global warming. It's still an issue, I hope. So you can put this cover on top of it. And I'm not sure how long this cover will last. You have to do some maintenance on this cover. And this will change this rotting fruit, rotting stuff. Eventually, you put it and it changes it into some methane. And then you have to you use a machine here. I'm not sure exactly what to do, but you have this, and this stuff gets it into compressed natural gas, basically. Like maybe I should upgrade her to, oops, to CNG. Okay, and then this one, you got to get a fuel dispenser here, and you put this stuff that comes from this into fuel, and that costs some money. So does this, so does this, and you want to get it pumped in less than 2 hours. You know, you don't want to sit there. They're gonna have 50 trucks. You want to pump all these trucks, and then they got to move all of this, whatever they do with this palm oil. They got to take this to the harbor, and that's 150 kilometers away. Okay, and you look at the efficiency of the trucks, and for moving trucks 150 distance for 50, we get this many kilometers over the year for the number of working days they have. Can't multiply by 365, so don't check me as if you would. And then for this, they would otherwise have to pay diesel price, but we're going to take all this CNG and give them a discount on the diesel price, and then they have to spend some money to upgrade the trucks. And at the end of the day, we're going to have one investor who pays for this, and this is gonna be build, operate, transfer period of only 10 years, and this investor in this scenario gets 12.55%, and those lucky people at the mill, they get a savings because of this 20% of 1.5 million. But then after this BOT period, there's a lot of life left, and I'm gonna put operating period. How long will this whole membrane last? And the operating period, oh, no. Okay, that's going to be 30 years. So how are we going to do this? Before I start adding all this sensitivity and scenario analysis to show how to really make a presentation, and I think the presentations are pretty important. My friend Mario, he's taking some kind of online class. He would never pay for mine. Oh, no way. But he's going to, he's a good guy, very good. He'll never watch this video anyway, so whatever. He's taking a class in presentation. Okay, and now what we're going to do is do a standard kind of scenario analysis with all of these different scenarios, but we're going to put all these scenarios, I might as well do this one right now. We're going to put all of these scenarios, I have to go from one page, I'll go a little bit back slowly, back to the last page, select all these scenarios. If you want to add some scenarios, perhaps I should make it to go to 2030. How's that? So we could add some later on. And then, so then it'll put these things down here. And then the reason we went from one sheet to the other sheet was just because when you right click on this one and go to format control, it says what the sheet name is. And then you go back for one and you put the scenario number in. And all of that little drop down box does, they call it a combo box, it does nothing other than give you a number. And that number will be used with the index function. That's very basic. That's going to be way too basic, but we're going to make a scenario analysis. But in addition to the scenario analysis, we're going to put some a little, we got to go to the developer tab. If you don't have the developer tab, you go to File, Options, blah, blah, blah. You go to the Customize ribbon and you make sure the developer is there. Then you better do that one. Okay, and we're going to put some spinner boxes around these ones so we can click on one of these cases. We can always go back to the base case. It's kind of like resetting. But we can also go to our developer tab and we can put a little spinner box around our little things. Maybe it's gimmicks, but the more I do this and the more I show you kind of how to make it flexible so you can reset all the scenarios and do it relatively quickly, the more I'm convinced of its efficacy. How's that for a cool word? Then we'll start with this. We have the construction period. I put a monthly construction period of BOT. So now I'm going through the inputs very, very briefly. Okay, and then we have some characteristics of the mill. How much does it produce? And it produces this stuff month by month. And if, you know, my friend who is working on this who's not paying me, so I'm doing this for you, for everybody. What an idiot life I have. He says, okay, well, this is monthly. We don't have, we have some production that varies by month. I don't know if you like this. Do you like this? Maybe I should click on the spark line and change it to a column, okay? We have this monthly production, and we have to kind of take the lowest monthly production because we need to get enough stuff from the mill to produce the biogas. So we can't say, 1 month, sorry, no trucks can go to the harbor this month. You have to have it going each month. And then we have this upgrader. So for me to have a picture was so important. This is, to try to explain somebody, this is all the characteristics of how we produce the upgrader. Now we have some capacity of this upgrader, but this capacity might be useless. Again, if we're not going to drive very far, we don't need to produce it all. We have to match the demand and the supply in these kind of models. Okay, and then we go through all of the various characteristics of how you convert from the fruit bunches to the methane and how many days you're going to be on maintenance, how you're going to operate, and you finally get the annual potential production. And then we have the little this thing. We have this. We have to pay for that. And we have to get a one that's pretty expensive that has some capacity to put this stuff really fast in the truck so they don't have to be waiting all the time. So we put how much stuff you can get through it, and the capacity of this nozzle has to match the capacity of the production we have. Okay, if we have too much production, we got to have enough nozzle to get it there, and then we're going to give the people an incentive. And you noticed something. I have to do something else. That these inputs came from the control page, and they shouldn't have. This should have been 0.65, and this should have been 20%. I was wrong. I'm totally wrong. Sorry about that. Where did this come from? Control square bracket. This came from, it has to come from the final result in this page. I'm going to have to probably stop the video a little bit in just a minute, and I'm going to have a lot of these inputs are going to come from the red page. And right now it comes from, whoops, this comes from this one, but it really is not going to come from this one. It's going to come from down at the bottom. So these have got to be fixed. Oh. And then given these inputs, I'm belabored this way too much, but then we start making our model. I put the demand first, and then where are you going to get the demand? I'll put the model up here if you care, and then what the expenses are, what the capex is, and finally how much savings the mill gets. And it's all with flags and some conversions, and not all that difficult, but laying out the model is pretty important, and it's amazing how bad people do this kind of stuff. I'm being very arrogant, and I'm sorry if I am. Okay, so that's the model, and now let's go and start putting our scenario analysis. The very first thing is I call this 101. I call this scenario analysis 101. We take all of these cases, and I'm going to even go down one. You notice how I left a space for one more, because then we can add some. And then I'm going to copy this across. And I've got to be really careful. I'm going to move this one down. You'll see why in just a minute. Well, maybe 2 minutes. And then I'm going to just Control R it. Okay, and then if you want to copy first, copy Alt EST, okay? Do it quickly instead of that paintbrush. Ugh. Okay. And if you take my classes, I'm going to make you do it. And sometimes, I hope you don't get pissed off at me for saying, don't use the goddamn paintbrush all the time, although I use it quite a bit, so that's a little hypocritical. And now what I'm going to do now is, again, now what you could do up here is you could make a little a thing that says go all the way down. And this is, again, okay, this is 101A. Nothing fancy so far. Okay. And let's take all of these, not the titles. Let's take all of the data, and whenever it's not the base case, let's make a little highlight on the data. And to make a conditional formatting that's going to highlight something, you always start at the top left, and then you go to the home. I used to be all confused when I do this, but once you understand that you use a formula, you start at the top left, and since we're going to format everything, you press Control F4 all the way, and you put not up. Ooh, see, I was too fast. I'm going to do everything except the base case. Ooh, that was bad. And then I'm going to make a conditional formatting. Watch me screw it up. Okay, and then we take this one and we press the F4 a bunch. And whenever this one is not equal to this one, but when you press on this one, be really careful with the F4. Keep it on the column flexible, but on that line. Okay, and then let's format this. And let's not do something Eddie told me, don't get so extreme with all these formattings. How about I'll make it a little blue? That's almost too much. Okay, and then you can see in each case what happened. You can see what got changed from the base case in the various cases. Maybe that wasn't such a great thing to do, but whatever. That's 101. Now, if you went to 101, what you would do is when you go to this mill size, and I hope I have them in a reasonable order, which I don't, this number could come from this one. I think that is no good, because then we could not put a spinner box on this mill size, and we could not put a spinner box over here and adjust it, and we couldn't eventually. So we're going to copy this, and we want to put the kind of case up here, and this picture is not used, this compression picture, so I'm going to delete it for a minute. Okay, maybe that's going to be another picture later, and my art is really no good. Okay, and I should put arrows to go in that regular thing. But then we'll put also, so we can click on one of these cases and see what happens if we have a low diesel price, what happens if we have lower mill production. But if we have lower mill production, I might want to change it. And instead of being restricted to those scenarios, I might want to see. I just can't. Oh shit. Okay. That pushed it off the page. The damn thing. We got it back. Okay. All right. That's what we want to do now. I've done this in a number of videos, so there's a little bit of repetition, but I wanted to show you how to put all the pictures together and really lay it out, because now I've done this and I do this almost every time, and it's finally getting a little easier. So there must be some sort of learning curve here. So what we're going to do is we're going to this is now scenario analysis 201. Is that okay? And we are going to copy this and paste special as values first. And this is going to be the one that drives it. And let's copy this and put EST. Okay? And the spinner box, these are going to be the index function, and this is going to be a spinner box, and we're going to copy it from this line, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to name this index. No, I hate to do this. I'm going to put X index. The reason I do that because INDEX. INDEX, okay? And then this one I'm going to call applied. That's what I'm using today. Now, I learned that I'm not supposed to use in underlines. Okay, I didn't know that. And then we're going to make a little macro. And in our macro, we're going to assign a macro. I'll make it a new one. I'll just assign it to this one, but maybe I'll copy scenario. That means I'm going to have to change it. And all we do is we have to remember what that damn thing was. But range applied, I can remember that one, equal range X index. Now, here's something else I learned. If you put dot value on this one, it's a hell of a lot safer. You can kind of get away without dot value sometimes. And now if we just do that and nothing else, we assign this one. Let's always change it to this workbook. I should figure out a way to kind of automatically do that, because that generic macros always messes me up. I gotta do that one. So let's put this back to the base case, and then all the things are the same. But let's copy this to the third case, which is low mill production. Now that 50 went here. And then what I do is this is going, I'm going to have to stop the video for this. But I'm going to use a format control, excuse me. And let's say the mill production could be 20 to 80. The whole thing could be a different size. Okay, or perhaps not, who knows, maybe that's way too much. Okay, and then I go to one sheet and the other sheet, and then here, this is the concept. Oh, it put it all the way down to 20. And then here is the key number one. Now you could assign this with a ranged name so that you wouldn't have these little equal signs in your input, but I have no great concern of that. And I've seen a lot of big models that do that. Okay, and then when we press Control Alt C on this one, I'm in B. I don't need a summary page, and this is going so fast. Generic macros is really having a good day in the last case. I don't even want a thing at the top. And if it goes to another, it sometimes does that, but it put that in the red sheet, and then Control square bracket, you see where it comes from. And now I can copy this and put this to the mill capacity. And if the mill capacity is really low, the economics don't work for the investor. Surprisingly, they still seem to work for the mill. Okay, and maybe we have to split things up and all that. And if we have more mill capacity, maybe I'm looking at our IRR and I'm looking at our savings, and then we can do it. But if we have messed around with that spinner box and we want to go back to the base case, I need to assign the macro we did to copy this scenario. Excuse me. Okay, I'm so happy I made that mistake. And there was the low mill production case and the base case. So that way we can combine the scenarios and start having our model do something finally, instead of just, I'm sorry, these scenarios should be done pretty well, and they're not. And now, let's do the next one. The next one's pretty easy. So all we can do there is copy that. And this is, I think, this is the hours. I should have put down here how many hours we operate. And I think on this one, I could, of course, I say of course, but I can put this over to E like this, and I think that's probably pretty good. But then I'm going to have to format control this, and let's say the maximum value is 6,000 hours and the minimum value is 4,500, and this time instead of going up by 1, maybe we'll go up by 100, because that's kind of hours. Okay, and we do the same thing, and we had one case where we changed it, and we copy this one, and we just put it here, and maybe, and maybe, and I think probably a good idea is to keep copying these things, because I go crazy with the stupid things to get them all formatted, and my art is so shitty. Okay, all right, but that's how we can do it. Not so far, so good. And then don't forget, just as we're going through this, don't forget that this one's going to have to come from here. Okay, and let's do the same thing. So that really hopefully killed the IRR. Oops. If this has no effect, it didn't have much of an effect. Okay, we could ask some questions, and I think that's because we have other constraints. And it seems to even, I'm not going to look at that, but I have to double check whether it's going the right way. Okay. And then we can, now let's change some of these. Now, the next thing I want to do is show you how to change some of these things with the percentages. Okay, again, if we want to go back to the base case, and in fact, sometimes I don't seem to be able to do that. So I think it might be sometimes almost reasonable to make a little other macro. Okay, but we're going to have to copy this, and we're going to call it reset to base case. Okay, and for right now, up. What? Ah, come on, get over there. And then on this control case, it's almost for the scenario code. Let's select this scenario code and give it a little of a range name. Shift Control F3. Okay, and this is the scenario code. And for our base case macro, uh, and for now it says edit that one, but I'm gonna copy one and make this, and now I put range, and I hope I put scenario underscore code. I don't see why it's bad. Equal 1. Okay, and then we, right now, we'll assign that to the, oops, okay, that was really bad. Okay, you can never have the same name here. That really will, that will really confuse things. Okay, so that was another mistake I made on purpose. Okay, and we click on this one, up, okay, and now let's take some other case, and let's change these variables, and change these variables, and then we just reset to the base, and they're back to where we started. Okay, enough. All right, we're starting to get there. Okay, but the third variable, and let's just copy this one more time, that's going to be a little bit of a problem, because that variable is, we cannot use we cannot use I'm really having trouble getting some words out tonight. I'm going a little bit crazy, but that one should be 65 instead of 65%, and we move it up and down from 65, and we're going to have to do the same uh, uh, for the rest of these. Okay, and in order to do that, all right, I think what I'm going to do is put a little thing here, and EIS, okay, and why it made this one oh, did I format this as a, huh, I didn't know I formatted it all the way down here, but whatever, that's bizarre. Okay, and now this is variable number 3. Notice that if we insert a variable, it's going to be a little bit of a mess. So what we do is we go to the assign macro, and we say, okay, that's okay, we can start with this copy, but when we put applied value cells, and this, it's a range with one row, and on the third column, we put dot value equals index value times 100. Okay, do you see that? I always forget that multiply by 100. I don't know why. And but now instead of giving, for the third column, instead of giving 65, it'll give us a higher one. So, let's do a couple of things. Let's copy this uh, this thing over to here. Okay, and let's go down and put low effluent percent. Okay. Ah, and it didn't. What did it not like? Applied. Aha. I think what we should have done is put range. We can't multiply that one, and I hope I didn't mess anything up. Dot cells 1, 3 dot value. So when I said, "Oh, I'm getting good at this," maybe it was not quite true. Let's do this. Let's reset it to the base case, and let's go to the low effluent production. And then you see it multiplied it. The only thing I was a little worried, it left this index okay. That was okay. And then I'm going to press Shift Control 1. Ooh, no, Shift Control to the left of the 1. And now on this one, we'll make this one the format control. First of all, let's do this thing we did before. Let's make this go to F. Not so hard. And then let's make this one. I've been told that this probably doesn't vary that much. So let's make this from 62 to 68. Okay. And we can push this up or down. Up. Oh, come on. There. Oh no. I didn't put the 1 in there. Okay, so that changes it from 62, whatever. And we're just about finished. But then when we go to our inputs, on our inputs, when we get this one, so far it's being fairly good. And we take this one and we divide it by 100. Did I do that? I think I did. And we could even, if you'd really like, we could even copy these little spinner boxes over to the inputs. Okay, and we could, of course, so we can change this now right here. Okay, but we can also copy this one. Now, when we copy this one, before we copy this one, we better assign the macro, and I better remember to do that in the other one. And I think I'm going to copy it later. That was pretty stupid what I just did. Okay, and we'll do the same things here. And we set scenario to 1. And when we set this scenario to 1, we have to redo everything. I'm kind of talking to myself a little bit there. Okay, how about let's do one more just to practice. Okay, if it's getting really, really boring, I'm sorry, this might be just too much. And then we change this EF to G. And then this time it's number 4. So we go to this one, and this time it'll be a lot easier. Because all we have to do is change this, and when it's on column number 4, that's the cells, comma 4, we're going to say, well, that one gets multiplied by 100. Okay, and Shift Control thingy, and let's put it back to the base case. And this one changed, and this one we better make this one, okay, maybe it's just gonna be 56 to 60. And we really need to ask my engineer friends who asked me to do this for nothing, that, what's the real range of these things? Absolutely, we have to look at what the range is. And I wish there was I suppose you could get it. I wish there was a way to kind of flexibly put the range in. I guess you could do this with a macro. I think I have once. I can't remember it right now. So what I'm going to do now is really stop the video. And the only thing I'm gonna turn the video back on after I've put some of this other stuff in, so you can see kind of how it'll really work, and you can start to see the risks of this and how you'd have to mitigate the risks and restructure the risks. and really evaluate the whole proposal. All right. So just let me pause for a minute. Okay, so I did all the painful stuff, and it is painful. I've got kind of a curved thing here, don't I? Okay, now we can start to try to really use it. All right, if I put it to the base case, reset everything to the base case, then we get our IRR back. I hope that's the one we started. And let's say our diesel price goes up. And if our diesel price goes up, the savings go up a lot. But if our diesel price goes down, we can kind of see, oh no, what's the break even thing before I get about, I don't know, an IRR that's pretty low. And if I get an IRR that's pretty low, maybe we can just extend the BOT period. We can do all of those kind of things. And what happens if we have a longer operating period or less operating period, and how low can the diesel, oh, I put a lower limit on that, so sometimes you might have to change that. I suppose I'll have to do that. Don't get sad about that. I'll put 20, sometimes you can. How low can the diesel price go before the savings are not even worth it? And the diesel price has to go so low. Now the IRR for these people it was gone a long time ago. But we can change all of these. And then again, here's the criticism. I can understand some snobs saying, you can't do this. You put all these things in, and then you can't remember what's going on. And I think I got one of those wrong, but whatever. And I start changing all these things. And I have a couple of wrong here. Oh, well. Okay. Yeah, and what's going on here? And then I can't remember where I started, but I just reset it to the base. And I hope that's what I had to start with. I think it is. And there you have it. And now we've got a nice little presentation we can show to people, and hopefully they'll almost never get off of this page. We have this page with my little conditional formatting. Now, if you would make a conditional formatting on this, it would be absolutely essential not to use this, and probably not even to use this, and we don't really need to mark things from another sheet. We really have almost nothing other than some input color, okay? I don't know if that was any good anyway. And then the inputs now, we can put this back. We don't need let's put column B because that's what I used. And this time let's put the flags in, the conditional formatting. We can definitely mark sheets, and they'll be red, or we can use the tab color, which would give you the same result. And just color the sheet. Now, it seems that I have this old one open, and it seems that when I'm pressing the the Control Alt C, I've looked up this on Google and I can't figure out how to fix that one. Okay, and so these are all the ones that come from the red sheet. All right, and then we can do the same thing here. This time it'll automatically tell me this artificial intelligence bullshit. Sorry, that J is the sum column, and we'll mark links from the other sheets again. And this time I'm going to use 9 things up at the top, and click on that one, and finished. And now I'm not quite finished with this, so I'm purposely trying to show you, you can see where things come from. Oops, I haven't finished the bottom of the model. And then finally, let's put the contents in. Control Alt C, and I hope this is going to go a little fast too. And I put table of contents, and it did it. And I can go find the operating cost in the thing and go back here. And it's all free. Huh. And I've been yelled at about and it gives you this, and you can put in your, whatever, your a little function to show you what the file name is and all that. But that's it. Okay, and that's it for this video. And the file, I don't know when. I'll put that on the website pretty soon. I'm not going to put it today because I'm not finished and I might get in trouble a little bit.